We have $1 trillion trade deficit with China. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year we lose with China. And unless we solve that problem, I'm not going to make a deal.
President Trump is issuing an ominous warning ahead of a ruling that will determine whether he overstepped his authority.
President Trump's trade war with American allies. Tariffs on imported goods are now at their highest levels since the Great Depression.
Policy is not sustainable. The economy essentially blows up. There's so much debt under current law that fixed income markets, bond markets will collapse.
They say empires never fall overnight. It happens slowly, then all at once. And right now, beneath America's shiny surface, that collapse has already begun. The media says the economy is thriving, the stock market is booming, unemployment is low, but out in the real world, farms are shutting down, factories are empty, and the cost of living keeps rising. America, the country that once fed the world, now imports more food than ever before. A superpower built on self-reliance is quietly becoming dependent. It's easy to believe everything's fine. After all, when you walk into a store, the shelves are full, the lights are on, people are still shopping, but the numbers tell a darker story. Debt is at record highs. Inflation is eating savings alive. And behind every new job report lies a truth few want to admit. Most of those jobs don't pay enough to live. So while politicians argue on TV about GDP and interest rates, ordinary Americans are quietly drowning. The middle class is vanishing. And what's replacing it is a system that looks eerily similar to the one America used to warn others about. For over a century, the American farmer symbolized freedom. They fed the nation. They built communities. They represented everything the country stood for. But over the decades, that image has faded. Farms have become factories, and family names have been replaced by corporate logos. In the 1950s, there were nearly 6 million family farms in the U.S. Today, fewer than 2 million remain, and every week, more disappear, buried under debt, rising costs, and government policy that favors the giants. The people who once grew America's food can no longer afford to grow it, so they sell their land to corporations, to billionaires, even to foreign investors. And with each sale, a piece of America's independence is lost. It started as a show of strength. The U.S. placed tariffs on foreign goods to protect American producers. But the world retaliated, and the results were devastating. China stopped buying American soybeans. Brazil ramped up production. European markets turned elsewhere. And suddenly, the U.S. had no one left to sell to. Grain silos filled up. Prices crashed. Thousands of farms went bankrupt. And the government's response? Print more money, Suriname, the form of subsidies and relief checks. But printing money doesn't grow crops. It just fuels inflation. And the people who once fed the world now struggle to feed their own families. While America was busy fighting trade wars, others were building alliances.
This news potentially of that new pipeline being set between Russia all the way to China, potentially opening up new customers to Russia and moving away from some of the dependency on Europe.
The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, saw an opportunity, and they took it. China signed massive trade deals across Africa and the Middle East. Brazil became the new global supplier of food. And for the first time in a century, the world began to function without depending on the United States. Oil deals started happening in yuan instead of dollars. Grain was traded outside the U.S. financial system, and the dollar, the cornerstone of American power, began to lose its grip. It wasn't a war fought with weapons, it was fought with resources, and America was losing. By 2025, nearly 1 in every 5 items on U.S. grocery shelves was imported. Fruits from South America, grains from Asia, beef from countries most Americans couldn't locate on a map. It sounds harmless. Globalization, they call it. But dependency has a price. When nations control your food, your fuel, and your factories, they don't need to invade you. They already own you. Energy independence, gone. Manufacturing, gone. Even semiconductors, the brain of every modern device, come from Taiwan, a place America has no control over. The U.S. once built everything. Now it imports almost everything. And each shipment that arrives is another reminder of how far the empire has fallen. What happens when a superpower loses control of the essentials? Food, energy, production? History has the answer. It collapses. Not overnight, But piece by piece, inflation becomes permanent. Supply chains break, people lose faith in their currency, then their government. And by the time anyone realizes, it's already too late. The signs are already here. Empty shelves, vanishing farmers, billionaires buying farmland just in case. But no one wants to talk about it because the truth is uncomfortable. America's greatest threat isn't China. It isn't Russia. It's the system it created and can no longer control. Can it be fixed? Maybe, but it would take something America hasn't shown in decades. Discipline, real leadership, and a willingness to rebuild from the ground up. The world doesn't fear America's weapons anymore. It fears its instability, its greed, its overconfidence. Because every empire falls the same way, not when it's conquered from outside, but when it collapses from within. This isn't about left or right, it's about survival. If America doesn't rediscover what made it strong, its farmers, its workers, its self-reliance, it won't matter how powerful it once was. Because the next great power won't win with bombs. It'll win with food, energy, and patience. Empires don't die with a bang, they die in silence. And right now, if you listen closely enough, you can already hear it.